Hi everybody, and this is Keren from tuppencecoloured.co.uk, and thank you very much for joining me for Simply Sketched Saturday. Now if you don't know what that is, well, I belong to a group of Stampin' Up demonstrators, and we take it in turns to set a sketch challenge for a regular blog hop, and we all make something based on a sketch and then we link to one another's blogs. So you start at one and then you just hop on to the next and the next and the next until you've been round and seen everybody's contributions. Now if you want to check out that blog hop, then please do click the link in the more information box below, and that will take you to my blog and you can work your way around the hop from there. So this is the sketch that we're working from this time. Now I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to make with it, so we're going to go through the creative process together, and if you want to see what I come up with, then please keep watching. I've had a rummage through my supplies, and these are the things that I think I'm going to be using today. I may change my mind halfway through, we'll just have to wait and see. So I have some paper from the Warmth and Cheer DSP, and I have some pieces of cardstock. So I've got a bit of soft suede, some cherry cobbler, some crumb cake, and some very vanilla. So I think those are the colours that I'm going to be using. I know I want to use this. This is the Cable Knit Deep Embossing folder, and it's a really nice chunky folder, gives you a really good result. I've decided that I'm going to use the perfectly wrapped stamps today, and I'm going to be using some of these. These are our new stitched framelets, and very excited to get hold of these because these weren't going to be on sale until June next year, but Stampin' Up have decided to release them early, so I'm very excited about those. And I'm also probably going to be using some of the oval framelets as well. I'm just going to wait and see how I like the way things are working out. Some of the other things that I think I'm going to be using today, I've got the burlap ribbon and chocolate chip stamping pad, and I've also got our metallics sequin assortment. So I think I'm going to be using those. I may also use a bit of the craft rope trim, which I had around here somewhere. Here it is. So that is a little scrap left over from a previous project, because you know me, I hate throwing anything away, so I may make use of that. I may not, and I may throw in something else altogether. Who knows? If you stay with me, we'll find out. I'm going to do my stamping before I do any cutting, any work at the Big Shot, because that way I can take everything over to the machine at the same time and I can get it all done out of the way. So I'm going to start by inking up my stamp, and I've chosen Happy Day, and I've already got chocolate chip ink on my thumb. Way to go! Okay, so light tapping. Now it's a photopolymer stamp, so I have my silicone mat underneath, and I'm just going to press down and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the ink to transfer, and that's stamped quite nicely. Okay, so let's choose which die I'm going to use, and it's definitely going to be one of the ovals. I think that one is going to be too small. Let's try the second largest or third smallest, depending on which way you want to look at it, and that gives me a nice effect. So I'm going to take this over to the Big Shot and cut it out, and I shall be right back. I've cut a piece of the very vanilla so that it is 1.5 inches wide. This piece is about 6 inches long. That's not particularly critical. Anything from about 5 inches long will be fine, because I'm going to cut it down. And I have my Cable Knit embossing folder here, and I am going to line up my piece of very vanilla as best as I can. I want to try and get it straight. I've got a couple of pieces of low tack tape, it's not masking tape, it's low tack tape, on the outside of the folder, just so that it stays where I want it to. And I'm going to check that, and that's not as straight as I would like it. So guess what? Great thing about low tack tape is that you can take it off and do it again. Okay, there we go. That's better. Now you don't run this through between two pads as you would a normal embossing folder. If you try to do that, first of all, you won't be able to get it through your machine, and if you do force it, you will break your machine. So please don't do that. What you need to do is you take your base platform. Now mine is an old one, so I've still got the tab 1, tab 2. The newer ones have shims, I suppose you'd call them, pads that you put on top of the machine. Now you don't want the thick one that you use with the ultra thin dies. I tried this not without this one, without the tab 1, which is the thinner shim. I just put it straight on the platform and tried it that way. So your embossing folder goes onto your platform, and you put one cutting plate on top. All right, I'm going to try it through on that pressure setting, and I'm going to open it, see how it looks. Okay, so another advantage of having the tape on there, it's not going to move around. And if I don't like the way that it's embossed, I will then put this pad down and I will try it again. So I will be back in a little while. I'm back, all my die cutting and embossing is done, and this is how my Very Vanilla came out with the cable knit embossing. I didn't put any additional platforms on. I just ran it through on the base platform, and this is how it came out. It's a lovely deep emboss, so I'm happy with that. Here's my stitched oval, and while I was over there I also cut out a scalloped oval, and this is soft suede, which is just big enough for that to fit onto. So the first thing I'm going to do, I think, is I will stick these two together, and I'm using wet glue because that's what I happen to have to hand. I'm not putting this up on dimensionals or anything like that. I'm going to keep this card actually quite flat, I think. I may mount the whole thing on dimensionals, but for now I will leave it at that. And the stitches in the edge there, don't know whether you can see me, lift that up for you. They are actually little holes. They've actually gone all the way through. They're not, how can I put it, they're not just pressed into it, they have actually cut. So you could, if you wanted to, take a fine needle and fine thread, and you could actually stitch all the way around. But I'm not going to do that today because I haven't got time. Alright, so let's start putting the rest of it together. And I'm going to have a base of, I can't think of the name of the word, I can't think of the name of it. Crumb cake, that's what it's called. That's right. Start again. I'm going to start putting it all together. So I have a base that is crumb cake, and I've cut that to the size of my card front. Now I'm not going to put it directly on my card front because this is thick whisper white, and we don't yet have very thick Very Vanilla. So Stampin' Up, sort yourself out, we want thick Very Vanilla, okay? So I want to cover the whole of the front of that to keep it fairly tone on tone. So I think I'll go ahead and do that now. And again with the wet glue, I will get this put into place. There we go. Because I know I'm covering the whole front panel of that card. Now I could, I suppose, have cut a piece of crumb cake and folded it in half. But again, I'm working from my scraps, and I didn't want to cut into a brand new whole piece of crumb cake, but I could have done, just because I'm tight. Right, so I have some of the warmth and cheer paper here. Let me bring back my picture. So I think I'm going to put my layer of cherry cobbler on next, and I've cut this to 3 3/4 by 5.5, so it's just a little bit smaller than my card front, because my card is a piece of A4 chopped in half and then cut to 4 by 11 3/4. Sorry, folded at 11.5 and folded at 5 3/4. That's so I got a nice green panel there. I'm going to have a look at my picture here and decide how I'm going to put things out. So I think I want that to go along the bottom, or do I? Okay, so I've cut that bit 2 inches wide, so let me cut a piece here that is, let's make this 1.5 inches and see how that looks. So put that to one side. And see how that is looking. And I'm going to bring it over a little bit so that it's inside that panel. Just want to see a little bit of the garden green peeking out. And just pop that on to there. And I'm rather liking that, so I think that's what I will go with. So I'm going to trim this piece down to 3 3/4 so that it just fits across the bottom there. And the thing about working from a sketch, okay, it's to guide you. It's not to constrict you. So if I'd wanted to, I could have done it that way about. And that would have been a different look, and actually I quite like that. But no, I'm going to go with the orientation as presented. So I'm going to chop this piece down as well. So I'm going to make this about 4 inches to begin with. Let's see how we like that. All right, yes. And then this piece, I'll chop also to about 4 inches. So excuse me, bringing my trimmer back in again. And this is how I plan cards and I make cards. It all kind of evolves as we go along. And I know I put out those bits of ribbon, but I'm actually wondering whether or not I'm even going to use them. So let's see. Right. So this can go onto the front here. And again, I'm using the wet glue because it's what I happen to have handy. Snail would work fine for this, although fast fuse would probably work even better because we're going card on card. But again, it's not if it's not a box or anything, it's not going to be required to bear any stress. So, the green bit, and I'm just going to overlap over the top so it's right up to the edge of the cards. Stop trying to talk and work at the same time, Karen. It doesn't work for you. You're not that bright. Okay. Put that one in. Okay, so our panel of, and it's the same paper, just use the other side of it, which I like because it's traumatic enough cutting into one piece of paper, let alone cutting into 2. I'm a paper hoarder. I like to stroke it. Actually, that should go on top of that, shouldn't it? Nah, I prefer my way. Okay, and then that will sit on there. Not a dimensional in sight. Who are you? What have you done with Tuppence Coloured? Okay, look at that. Now that's starting to get somewhere now. But we're not quite finished because we've got some embellies to put on in this corner here. And I think I'm going to be quite literal. And I've got my sequins here. And I'm going to actually fish out the star-shaped ones. And I think I'll have the gold ones, if I can. So, this may take a little time, so talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so there's one. So heart-shaped one can go back in. And there's another one in the white, that's quite pretty. And let's have a silver one as well, shall we? So, I think that will be enough. Now, to apply these, I'm going to use my fine tip glue pen. Get the top off. And this stuff is very, very runny, so I'm going to be quite careful with it because it does have a tendency to get everywhere. So I'm just going to get a little blob on the end, and I'm just going to touch that little blob to where I want my sequins to stick. Just like that. And I am going to put the top back on straight away because this stuff dries up faster than you would believe if you leave it uncorked. There you go. So pick up a star, pop it down, and another one. Which are quite close together. And where has my third one gone? There it is. Okay. I've smudged the glue a little bit, so a bit of tissue here. And I'm just going to wipe it up. And once it dries, nobody will know. All right, one last embellishment. So I'm going to do it. I'm just going to put one last little touch onto this card, and I have my jute ribbon or burlap ribbon, depending on your point of view, and I'm just going to cut a very short length. And I have my craft rope trim, and I'm just going to tie a knot around it. In fact, I'm going to double that. And I'm going to fray out these ends a bit. And I think that's a little bit too long. I'm just going to shorten that slightly on both sides so that they're even. And I may fray out these ends a little bit as well. So you can do that with this ribbon. Just get it so it's looking all frayed and tatty and lovely. And where are my glue dots? They're here somewhere. I know they are. Glue dots are hiding, so I'm going to use my wet glue. There is my finished card, and I did add one more sequin at the base of the oval there because it just seemed to be a little bit bare. It just seemed like it needed a little bit of something. So if I bring back my original sketch, there they are side by side. So what do you think? I would absolutely love it if you would leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe and to share, and definitely don't forget to visit my blog and find your way around the blog hop and go and see what everybody else has been up to, because I know there will be some absolutely fantastic creations by my teammates. But for now, I do thank you very, very much for joining me, and I hope that I will see you again soon. Bye bye.